I don't remember when exactly it started. Maybe it was the perfume. Or maybe it was the silence between us that stretched just a little too long one night over dinner. Lauren sat across from me, scrolling through her phone, legs curled beneath her on the couch like she always did on Friday evenings. Her wine glass was half full. Mine was untouched. Something about her seemed off. "You're quiet tonight," she said, not looking up. "I'm just tired," I replied, watching the way her thumb hovered over the screen. Not tired, really. Just detached, unmoored. She didn't press. She never did anymore. I used to think Lauren noticed everything, the way my mood shifted when work got bad, or when I was stressed over finances. She'd rub my shoulders, sit next to me, nudge me until I smiled again. That version of her was gone. Maybe she disappeared slowly. Maybe I was just too blind to see her fading away. It was a Tuesday morning when I first smelled it. The perfume. She stepped out of the bedroom dressed for work. Navy skirt, white blouse, heels I hadn't seen in months. And then that scent. Unfamiliar, rich, bold. Not the soft lavender she'd worn since college. Something new. "New perfume?" I asked casually. She paused for half a second like she had to remember her line. "Mm-hmm. Thought I'd switch it up. Got a sample from a coworker. You like it?" "It's strong," I said. I meant unfamiliar. I meant not yours. I meant who is it really for? She smirked slightly, grabbed her purse, and left with a breezy, "Don't wait up. Might be a late one." Those late ones became the new normal. Marketing deadlines, client meetings, rebranding projects. The excuses multiplied. I wanted to believe her. God, I did. We'd been married 7 years, not perfect but solid. Or so I thought. It wasn't just the perfume or the nights out. It was her smile. It had changed. It had become distant, practiced, the kind you give to strangers. And it wasn't for me anymore. One night, I came home early from work. Her car wasn't in the driveway. No note, no text, just silence. I microwaved leftovers, sat at the dining table. The seat across from me was empty, but her scent still lingered faintly in the air. That same heavy floral musk blend. I stared at my plate, untouched, for nearly 20 minutes before standing up and dumping it into the trash. Later, she came in around 11:30 p.m. I was in bed, the lamp still on. She peeled off her heels and set her bag down with unusual care. I pretended to be asleep. She tiptoed into the bathroom and shut the door. The click of the lock echoed like a gunshot in my skull. I opened one eye and glanced at her phone glowing on the nightstand. Messages kept appearing. I couldn't read them, just saw the sender's name flash again and again. T. I lay there, fists clenched, jaw tight. She came out a few minutes later, kissed me on the cheek, cold, mechanical, and slid under the covers, back turned to me. A week later, she left her phone on the kitchen counter while she jumped into the shower. It buzzed, once, twice. I was just moving it to the side, away from the sink. But then I saw it. "Last night was amazing. Can't wait to feel you again." My breath caught in my throat. The world tilted, just slightly. My hand started to shake. I placed the phone down, backed away like it was radioactive. I couldn't breathe, couldn't even swallow. I stared at the bathroom door, listening to the water run. Steam curled beneath the crack. She was humming. That same voice that used to sing along with me on road trips. That same woman who once promised me forever. I stood there for a long time before quietly leaving the kitchen. I didn't say anything that day, or the next. But something inside me shifted. I started noticing everything. The way she wore that perfume even on weekends now. The forced laughter when she texted. The sudden distance, physical, emotional, all of it. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. Not really. And still, I didn't confront her. I wasn't ready. Not yet. But I knew. I knew who she was now. Or maybe, I knew who she had always been, and I was just finally seeing it. I should have said something that night. I should have held the phone up, demanded an explanation, screamed, cried, anything. But I didn't. Instead, I sat in the dark living room, gripping the edge of the couch, staring at nothing while the silence in the house grew thick around me. My ears strained for every sound, the running water, the clink of bottles, the familiar rhythm of her routine. Lauren emerged 20 minutes later in her silk robe, hair wrapped in a towel, skin glowing with moisturizer. She looked relaxed, radiant even, like someone coming home from a massage, not from cheating on her husband. "Did you eat?" she asked, casually drying her hair. "Wasn't hungry." She nodded, walked past me, and said, "I'm exhausted. Big presentation tomorrow." Big presentation. Right. She said that last week too. I didn't respond. I just watched her walk up the stairs. Every step she took felt like another nail in the coffin she was building for our marriage. I sat there for almost an hour after she went to bed. The message kept replaying in my mind, over and over like a loop I couldn't stop. "Last night was amazing. Can't wait to feel you again. No name, just T." But it didn't take a genius to guess. Travis. She'd mentioned him once, months ago. Some new guy at her agency. I barely remembered the context. Something about him being too intense or trying too hard. It was dismissive, casual. Now I wondered if that was a cover, a setup. Make me look the other way while the affair bloomed right under my nose. Over the next few days, I became someone else. Someone quieter, colder, observant. She didn't seem to notice, or didn't care. In the mornings, she dressed up more than usual. New lipstick. Once, I asked if she wanted to go out Friday night, just the two of us. She blinked like I'd asked her something in a foreign language. "Oh, I have that work dinner, remember?" "No, you didn't mention it." She paused, eyes flicking toward the hallway, as if calculating whether it was worth the lie. "It came up yesterday. It's for the new account. They're sending Travis, so I kind of have to go." There it was. The name. I didn't flinch. "Sounds fun," I said. She gave me a weird look, not suspicious, more like pity. As if I was some fool still clinging to a marriage she'd already vacated in her mind. That Friday, I waited. She left the house around 6:30, navy blue dress, hair curled, heels so high she wobbled slightly on the way to the car. No kiss goodbye. Not even a wave. I watched through the front window as she pulled away. 10 minutes later, I opened my laptop. I didn't want to spy. I really didn't. But there it was, our shared bank account. I hadn't touched it in weeks. Dinner at Le Ciel Rouge, one of the most expensive restaurants in the city. Reservation for 2. I stared at the receipt. Then another charge from last week. A boutique hotel downtown. It was dated on a night she said she'd been in Chicago on business. And that's when something inside me broke. The pain wasn't loud. It wasn't a scream or a shout or a thrown chair. It was quiet, hollow, like the sound of something dying slowly. I closed the laptop, sat in silence. I think I stayed like that for hours, just sitting, breathing, existing. A statue in my own home. When Lauren came back past midnight, I was still on the couch. She was giggling, whispering into her phone, high heels in one hand, her makeup smudged just slightly. She paused when she saw me in the dark. "Oh, you're still up?" I didn't answer, just looked at her. She smiled, that same thin smile, and walked right past me. I heard her laugh again as she ascended the stairs. The bedroom door closed behind her with a soft click. And I knew, whatever this was, whatever we had, it was already gone. She was just pretending, and until that moment, so was I. The kitchen was quiet that morning, but not in a peaceful way. It was the kind of silence that feels thick, like fog, like a storm rolling in just below the surface. Lauren stood by the sink, staring into her coffee like it might have answers. Her phone was in her hand, thumb lazily swiping across the screen. I sat at the table, fingers wrapped around a half-full mug, eyes locked on her like she was a ticking bomb I'd finally decided to defuse. She looked up when she felt my stare. "What?" she asked flatly. I let a few seconds pass. I needed her attention. "Either you tell me everything right now," I said, my voice calm but hard, "or this is the last time I'll ever speak to you." She blinked. The way her body stiffened, just slightly, told me everything I needed to know. But still, she played it cool, rolled her eyes, took a sip like I was being dramatic. "What the hell are you talking about?" "You know exactly what I'm talking about," I said. "Travis, the hotel, the dinners, the messages." Her expression didn't break, not right away, but her grip on the mug shifted. One knuckle tightened, one blink too slow. I continued. "I've seen the texts. I've heard the lies." She let out a laugh, short, humorless. "Oh my God, Ryan, you've seriously been stalking me?" "No," I said. "I didn't have to. You stopped hiding it." She set her coffee down, crossed her arms, leaned back against the counter. That smug tilt returned to her chin. "And what if I did go out with him?" she said. "So what? You think you're some perfect husband?" I didn't respond. I just stared at her, let the silence stretch. Her voice turned sharp. "Maybe if you weren't glued to your laptop 24/7, I wouldn't have to find someone else to make me feel alive." There it was. I nodded slowly. "So you admit it?" She smirked. "Don't twist my words. Travis is a friend. You don't book hotel rooms for a friend, Lauren. You don't text friends at midnight about how good last night felt." Her jaw clenched. For the first time, the cracks began to show. "You know what?" she snapped. "If you want to walk away, fine. Go ahead. Play the victim. You're good at that." I stood up. "I'm not playing anything," I said. "I'm done. You made that choice for both of us the second you decided to lie." She scoffed. "You're acting like a child." "No, I'm acting like a man who's had enough." She shook her head, mouth twisted in that ugly little smirk I once mistook for confidence. "You'll come crawling back. You always do." I stared at her one last time. Not this time. And I walked out of the kitchen. The door to the bedroom clicked shut behind me, muffling her voice, but not enough to silence it completely. I leaned against the wood for a second, my palm flat against the grain, just breathing. I didn't want to scream. I just wanted to feel nothing. But my body wasn't cooperating. My heart thundered in my chest, my lungs tight like I was underwater. I felt dizzy, unsteady. I forced myself to move, to act, not collapse. The bedroom looked exactly the same as it always had. Neat, minimal, staged like some catalog photo. But it wasn't our room anymore. It was hers. Her perfumes lined the dresser, her books on the nightstand, never finished. Her clothes hung on my side of the closet too now, like I'd already been replaced, bit by bit, while I stood still. I pulled out the old duffel bag from under the bed, the one we used to take on road trips. I hadn't touched it in over a year. Dust clung to the zipper. I threw it on the bed and started grabbing whatever I could reach. Shirts, socks, jeans. I didn't care what matched. I didn't care what I left behind. I just needed to get out. With each item I tossed into the bag, I remembered something. A weekend in Asheville. Her laughing in the passenger seat with her feet on the dash. A stupid argument about gas stations. Our first New Year's here. All of it, every goddamn memory, burned into the walls like smoke. And now it all felt fake. I zipped the bag halfway when I heard her voice through the door. "Oh, come on, Ryan. Are you seriously running away?" I froze. Her words had that same syrupy sarcasm she used when she wanted to provoke me. "You're just gonna leave? What, no big dramatic speech this time? Just pack up and vanish like some sad little boy?" I clenched my fists. "Don't answer. Don't give her the stage." "I'm not running," I said without raising my voice. "I'm leaving." She laughed. Loud, dismissive. "You're humiliating yourself, you know that? Pretending to be some noble victim when you're just pathetic." I stepped to the door, pulled it open. She was standing there in the hallway, arms crossed, leaning casually against the frame like she owned the place. "You think you can just walk out?" she said. "Pretend none of this ever happened?" I stepped past her, duffel bag on my shoulder. "I don't need to pretend," I said. "You made sure I'll never forget." "You're just gonna leave? What, no big dramatic speech this time? Just pack up and vanish like some sad little boy?" I clenched my fists. "Don't answer. Don't give her the stage." "I'm not running," I said without raising my voice. "I'm leaving." She laughed, loud, dismissive. "You're humiliating yourself, you know that? Pretending to be some noble victim when you're just pathetic." I stepped to the door, pulled it open. She was standing there in the hallway, arms crossed, leaning casually against the frame like she owned the place. "You think you can just walk out?" she said. "Pretend none of this ever happened?" I stepped past her, duffel bag on my shoulder. "I don't need to pretend," I said. "You made sure I'll never forget." I didn't know where I was walking. I just kept going, one foot in front of the other, away from the house, away from her voice, away from the version of myself I didn't recognize anymore. The duffel bag pulled heavy on my shoulder, but the weight that crushed my chest was worse. The streets were quiet. Late morning sun filtered through the trees, casting long, cracked shadows across the sidewalk. I passed people, dog walkers, joggers, couples with coffee, all of them completely unaware that my life had just imploded. Funny how the world keeps spinning even when yours grinds to a halt. After maybe 15 minutes, I found myself at the small park a few blocks away. We used to go there together. Lauren loved the little pond, the benches under the willow trees. She once said it felt like a bubble outside the world. Now it just felt empty. I dropped onto a bench near the far corner, slouched forward, bag at my feet. My hands hung between my knees, trembling. The wind rustled the trees gently, like the city was trying to whisper, "You'll be okay." But I didn't feel okay. All I could hear was her voice in my head. "You'll come crawling back. You always do. You're nothing without me." And the worst part? Some part of me still wanted to believe her. I almost pulled out my phone, almost opened a message app. Almost. Instead, I just sat, until the screen of my phone lit up on its own. Jason. I hesitated. I hadn't spoken to him in months, not since the last time he warned me that Lauren wasn't who you think she is. I tapped to answer. "Ryan?" His voice was cautious but warm. "You okay?" I didn't speak for a second, just swallowed the lump in my throat. "I left," I finally said. "I walked out this morning. It's done." There was silence on the other end, then a slow exhale. "Shit, man, I'm sorry. But also, I'm relieved. You finally saw it." "Yeah," I said. "I saw it. All of it." "You need a place?" he asked, no hesitation. I nodded even though he couldn't see me. "Yeah, I need a couple nights. I don't want to deal with anyone else right now." "My couch is yours," he said. "As long as you need. You want me to come get you?" "No, I'll walk. I need the time." "All right, I'll be home." I hung up and sat there a few minutes longer, staring at the ground. Dust moved across my shoes in the breeze. Leaves trembled overhead. I tried to remember the last time I felt steady, secure, loved. I couldn't. I stood slowly, slung the bag back onto my shoulder, and started walking again. My legs ached, but I didn't stop. I passed a corner we once stood on after dinner. I passed the coffee shop where she made me laugh until I choked. I passed the street where I'd parked the night I proposed. It all felt like another life. By the time I reached Jason's apartment, my shoulders were burning and my shirt stuck to my back. He opened the door before I even knocked. And for the first time in a long time, someone looked at me without judgment, without accusation, without that smirk. Just a friend, a couch, a moment of rest. I stepped inside. The door closed behind me, and for now, that was enough. Jason's apartment was dim and quiet, like a hospital waiting room after visiting hours. The curtains were half drawn, the TV off, the only sound coming from the soft hum of a fan in the corner. He didn't ask questions, didn't pry, just motioned toward the couch and said, "Make yourself at home." I dropped the duffel bag and sank into the cushions like I hadn't sat down in years. My entire body ached, not from walking, but from holding everything in for so long. Rage, confusion, humiliation. It lived in my muscles now, in my bones. Jason came back with a bottle of water and set it on the coffee table. "You need anything stronger? It's in the cabinet," he said. I shook my head. "Not yet." He nodded once and gave me space. I sat there alone, just breathing, trying to remember what it felt like to be a person, not a punching bag in someone else's game. My phone was still in my pocket, dead silent. I hadn't turned it off, but I hadn't looked at it either. I was afraid, not of what Lauren would say, but of how easily I might believe her again. I closed my eyes, let my head fall back. Minutes passed, maybe hours. I don't know. Then it buzzed, just once, soft, deliberate, like a knife being gently drawn across the skin. I didn't move. Then it buzzed again. I exhaled slowly, reached into my pocket, and pulled it out. Lauren, of course. The message preview glared up at me. "So that's it? You're really going to ghost me like a coward?" I stared at the words, hands trembling. It was bait. I knew it was bait. Sarcasm wrapped in self-righteous rage, designed to drag me back into her story. My thumb hovered over the screen. I didn't open it. Another buzz, another message. "You're acting like a child. No one's going to feel sorry for you. I didn't even do anything that bad." God, she still didn't get it. Or worse, she did and just didn't care. I locked the phone and placed it face down on the coffee table like it was a live grenade. Jason walked in from the kitchen with 2 mugs of coffee. He saw the look on my face and didn't even need to ask. "She texted." "Yeah." He handed me the mug. I wrapped my hands around it. Burned a little. "You gonna answer?" "No." He nodded like he already knew I'd say that. "She'll keep trying," he said. "I know." I took a slow sip. The bitterness cut through the fog in my brain. "But I think, for the first time, I don't care." We sat in silence for a few minutes. Just the fan. The faint sound of traffic outside. The weight of a decision finally made. My phone buzzed again. I didn't touch it. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on Jason's couch, staring at the ceiling fan as it spun slow, hypnotic circles overhead. The room was dark, but my thoughts were bright, too loud to rest. I kept seeing her face, her smirk, her eyes when I told her I was done. Not afraid, not apologetic, just calculated. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard her again. "You're being dramatic. You'll come crawling back. No one's going to believe your side." I opened my eyes and stared at the shadows dancing across the ceiling. I wasn't afraid of her lies anymore. I was afraid of doing nothing, of letting her write the ending to our story. That's when I decided it had to be real, not just emotional, legal. I pulled out my phone. The lock screen was still full of missed messages, all from her. I didn't open them. I scrolled past them, straight into the browser, typed the words with shaking fingers. "Divorce attorney near me." 3 listings popped up. One said, "discreet, affordable, aggressive." That sounded about right. I clicked. By morning, I still hadn't slept, but I felt something new. Direction, a path, an action. Jason padded into the kitchen and raised an eyebrow when he saw me already dressed, phone in hand, coffee on the table. "You good?" I nodded. "I'm calling a lawyer." He didn't say anything, just gave me a slow nod of approval and set the coffee pot to brew. I stepped into the hallway and hit call. It rang twice. Then a calm, professional voice picked up. "This is Cynthia Miller's office. How can I help you?" My mouth went dry. I need to file for divorce." The words felt foreign as they left my mouth, like they belonged to someone braver, but they were mine. "All right," the assistant said gently. "Can I get your name?" Ryan. She asked a series of questions. How long we'd been married, whether we had kids, shared assets, if I had any evidence of infidelity. Yes, I said. I have messages, hotel receipts, card statements. Okay, we'll set up a consultation. Earliest slot is this afternoon. We can do phone or in person. In person. Done. I gave her the details, then hung up and just stood there, staring at nothing. Jason came back into the room and handed me a mug of coffee. Well? 3 p.m., I said. He didn't say, I'm proud of you. He didn't need to. The way he looked at me said enough. I sipped the coffee. My hands were still shaking, but less now. Controlled. Focused. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Lauren. I didn't open it. Instead, I blocked her number. That moment, more than anything, felt final. It came just after noon. I was sitting on Jason's couch, going over the lawyer's intake email, when the knock hit the door. Not light, not polite. A knock with intent. The kind of knock that doesn't ask permission. It expects entry. Jason looked up from the kitchen with a frown. You expecting anyone? I shook my head, but my stomach already knew. I stood slowly, walked to the door, looked through the peephole. Lauren. Of course. She was standing there in tight jeans, sunglasses pushed up into her hair, arms crossed like she was here to collect a debt. Her body language said one thing. You don't get to walk away from me. I opened the door but didn't step aside. She didn't even let me speak. Really, Ryan? You're hiding out here now? She snapped. Like some runaway teenager? Jason moved behind me, silent but watchful. I felt his presence like a wall at my back. I'm not hiding, I said calmly. I told you it was over. She laughed, sharp and theatrical. Over? Are you kidding? Over because I had dinner with a coworker? Grow up. You lied to me, I said. You cheated. Then you blamed me for it. Oh, please, she rolled her eyes. Don't act like some innocent puppy. You think working late every night didn't feel like betrayal? You ignored me for years. I never lied to you, I said. I never made you feel crazy just to cover my tracks. Her expression cracked, just for a second. Then she snapped back into her usual sneer. You'll regret this, Ryan. You think your little pity act will last? No one's going to believe your side. You think you're a victim? Everyone will see through that real quick. I didn't even blink. Jason stepped forward now, voice low but firm. You should leave. She looked him over like he was a bug she didn't remember stepping on. This doesn't concern you. It does when you show up at my door to harass my friend, he said. Her eyes flicked between us. I saw it. The mental math. We weren't moving. We weren't buying it. The control was gone. She scoffed, turned on her heel, and started walking down the hall. But before she left, she threw one last grenade over her shoulder. You'll come crawling back. You always do. The door clicked shut behind her. Jason locked it slowly, then turned to me. That was intense. I let out a long breath and sat down hard on the couch. My legs were shaking. But for the first time, I didn't feel broken. I felt clear. She's never going to stop, I said. Not unless I make it impossible for her to come back. Jason nodded. Then make it impossible. And I knew exactly how to do that. I opened the lawyer's intake form on my laptop and filled out every detail. Date of separation, today. Cause, infidelity. Emotional manipulation, gaslighting. Children, none. Assets, divisible, contested, most likely. There was a section titled, Additional Notes. I stared at it for a minute, then typed, She'll try to make me look like the bad guy. She's done it before. I don't want revenge. I want freedom. Peace. I hit send. That afternoon, Cynthia, the divorce attorney, called me. Her voice was calm, measured, no nonsense. Ryan, I've looked over everything. You've got enough documentation to move forward confidently. She may try to fight, especially over shared property. Are you prepared for that? Yes. Good. First thing we'll file is a petition with preliminary protective orders. That way she can't harass you during the process. You'll also want to start documenting any future contact, texts, emails, even voicemails, just in case she pushes back. I've already blocked her, I said. Completely. There was a pause. Smart. But in my experience, people like her don't just vanish. I know. Cynthia's tone softened. But you've already done the hardest part, Ryan. You left. I swallowed hard. It doesn't feel real yet. It will. That evening, Jason and I sat on the small balcony outside his apartment, beers in hand, legs stretched out toward the fading sun. He didn't say much. He never said much unless it mattered. You know, he finally said, if you had stayed, she would have eaten you alive. I almost did stay, I admitted. Too long. That's what abusers count on. I looked out over the city. It looked different now, like it belonged to me again. She still thinks I'll come back, I said quietly. Then don't just leave, man, Jason said. Disappear. I smiled for the first time in days, and somewhere deep inside, something began to settle. Not healing yet, not closure, but space, finally, to begin. It had been 2 weeks since I walked out. The divorce process was in motion. The paperwork was filed. Cynthia's office was handling everything now. Bank accounts, property division, formal notice. Lauren hadn't responded yet through legal channels, but I knew that storm was coming. She wouldn't stay quiet forever. And yet, the silence was beautiful. Not the absence of noise, the absence of her. No more texts, no more poison-tipped messages meant to reel me back in. No sudden guilt trips, no blurred lines, just space, stillness, breath. Jason left town for a few days on business, offered me the place while he was gone. I stayed. Not because I needed shelter anymore, but because I needed neutral ground. One morning, I walked to the same park bench from that first day. The one where I collapsed under the weight of everything I didn't want to admit. I opened my photo app, out of habit almost, and scrolled through old pictures. Her face popped up again and again. Us on vacations, on the couch, at parties, smiling. I stared at one of them for a long time. Then I deleted it. And another. Not out of spite, not to pretend she never existed, but because she didn't belong in the next version of my life. The phone buzzed. Unknown number. I stared at it. Didn't move, didn't care. Whoever it wasn't someone I owed anything to. I powered the phone down. No drama, no rage, just peace. Later, I thought about the last thing Lauren said to me. You'll come crawling back. You always do. But the truth was, I hadn't just walked away from her. I had burned the bridge behind me. And now, all I saw ahead was open road. I didn't know where it would lead. I wasn't ready for love, or forgiveness, or whatever healing was supposed to look like. But I knew this much. I wasn't hers anymore. I was mine. And that was enough to start again. I rented a small one-bedroom on the other side of the city. Nothing fancy. Just quiet. Mine. My mornings stopped starting with tension. My nights stopped ending with guilt. I could leave dishes in the sink without hearing her voice in my head. I could walk down a grocery aisle without wondering if I was buying the wrong damn brand of coffee. That's the kind of freedom people don't talk about. The small, stupid kind that feels like breathing for the first time in weeks. Lauren? She tried, of course, to spin it, to reframe it. Told mutual friends I snapped. Said I was paranoid, unstable, cold. But lies don't travel well when you've already burned your bridges. People stopped listening. Or maybe they just stopped caring. Travis vanished. I heard he transferred to another office, maybe even another city. Doesn't matter. He was never the point. I'm not in a relationship now. And for once, I'm okay with that. I'm not healing for someone else. I'm not trying to move on just to prove I can. I'm just living. Some days still feel heavy. I still remember how easily I let it all slide for so long, how blind I let myself be. But other days, most days, I wake up and look in the mirror, And I don't see the guy who sat frozen on that park bench anymore. I see someone else. Someone who walked through fire and didn't come out unscathed, but came out free. And if you ask me what I regret, not leaving, just how long it took me to do it.